Basically what you do is we're finding things that are the ones that you're going to see the most often are slant asymptotes. I'm going to also show you it's possible to have like a parabola kind of asymptote, which might seem weird. But the slant ones are pretty easy because all you do to find them is you use synthetic division. So I want you to take a look at the very last thing, which is x cubed minus 3x squared plus 3x plus 1 over x minus 1. I'm going to put it in my calculator. So I hope, kind of like before, we could see this definitely has a vertical asymptote at x equals 1. Can you see that? But it looks really different than some of the things we've seen before. So there's no horizontal asymptote, but this part of the function and this part of the function, you know, they are the ones that approach x equals 1, but then we kind of have some weird stuff happening in there. Like we kind of have stuff almost looks oblong on an angle. So one of the things we learned is when the degree is higher on top and bottom, there is no horizontal asymptote. So I want to state that for a fact. But what we can do is we can use synthetic division to find what we call its end behavior, and its end behavior follows kind of sometimes a slant and sometimes a line. So this one is a slant, and then I'm going to show you on your example 6 when it's sorry, this one's like a slanted kind of parabola deal, and the one on your homework was a line. So we'll talk about how to find both, but we're going to put the one in the box. And we're going to use synthetic division. And what we do is we find the results and we kind of ignore the behavior because we know it's not a factor. Maybe a 2, 1. All right, so the remainder would be 2, but I'm going to kind of just leave that alone. This portion would be x squared, because I took a cubed and divided, minus 2x plus 1. This result we call the end behavior asymptote. Even though it's not a horizontal line. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show you this. Remember, this was our original graph. I'm going to show you that the end behaviors, this piece and this piece, actually follow the graph of x squared minus 2x plus 1. So in my y2, I'm going to put that in. And you're going to see there was my original. Here's my parabola. So do you see how this part kind of goes along that part of the parabola and that one goes along that part? Cool. Let's find the one for number 6 that you did on your homework. So this was one that you did for homework on Friday, and you probably wrote that there is no horizontal asymptote. I hope you wrote that. Good. And this does have a vertical asymptote of x equals 3. So what I'm going to do when there's no horizontal asymptote, though, is I'm going to go a step further and see if we can find what the end behavior asymptote is. So I am going to do synthetic division with this one. Let's put 3 in the box, please, and divide and see what we get. Okay. So once again, we kind of ignore the remainder because the remainder, we're just trying to figure out what the ends approach, and the division without the remainder is going to give us that. We divided a squared by an x. So this means 1x plus 0. That's just y equals x. Y equals x is just a line with slope of 1 and y-intercept of 0. And so we sometimes call that a slant asymptote, even though it's really not an asymptote. It's not horizontal or vertical. But let's just see how it looks with our graph. Okay, so this was our original graph I had put up before, and do you see the slant part right here and the slant part right here? Watch what happens when I put y equals x in. This part is gonna never go below that line. It'll never go below that slanted line, and this part up here is gonna go up, but it's never gonna go above the top part of the line. So it's just kind of like a horizontal asymptote, but slanted instead. And again, this isn't a big deal. It's not something to assess. I only want you to be able to do vertical and horizontal, but you should kind of know that they exist. And there is no horizontal asymptote, but there is kind of a quote-unquote asymptote. It's just not horizontal. All right, makes sense?